My name is Chris Floyd, and I'm with the Disaster Resistant Communities Group, and I'll be leading today's exercise briefing for the upcoming Operation Trick or Treat exercise. To begin with, over the next 15 minutes, we're going to cover the scope of the exercise, the need for team participation, exercise basics, the Onyx system, which is the online system that you will use to run the exercise, the process for exercise evaluations, and of course the after-action reporting process. But to get started, I want to cover some basics on the scope of the exercise. This is a 96-hour sustainability exercise with an event, a severe winter event, occurring over a long holiday weekend. You will need to stand up your hospital incident command team for the exercise, work through the various activities and actions that need to be taken as the severe weather approaches the region, and then those activities to remain operational for the 4 days. Another important component of the exercise is going to be communicating with the MERC. You will be communicating via WebEOC. You will be faxing and receiving faxes from the MERC, as well as potentially receiving phone calls, making phone calls to the MERC, and potentially emails back and forth. Team participation. Really want to stress that everyone who will be participating in the exercise needs to pre-register as soon as possible. However, on the day of the exercise, only one individual will use their username and password. They will log in with one computer, display their screen to an LCD projector, and that person will be driving the exercise at the computer and keying in all the responses to the various injects, the various discussion topics that will be presented during the exercise. So that person needs to be pretty good at typing because he or she is basically going to be described. That's capturing all the information that your team is discussing, all the decisions that are being made based on the various scenarios and injects presented in the exercise. Another important reason for everyone to register is following the exercise, everyone will be driven to log into the Onyx system and complete their own individual hot wash, those things that went well and those things that the hospital can improve upon. That information is what is exported into individual after-action reports for hospitals. So those are the reasons why we're looking for everyone to register. This is team participation, team input, and most important of all, team hot wash, team after-action reporting. Some exercise basics. Yes, you need high-speed internet. I don't think any of you will have a challenge with high-speed internet at your hospitals. You'll need a minimum of one computer to log in, play the Onyx system exercise, and of course you'll need that LCD projector or flat panel television to monitor for the larger group to actually monitor the exercise. I would like to recommend that you maybe consider having a second computer on site simply for accessing into WebEOC, creating any emails, receiving any emails. You can do that with one computer by opening various tabs in your internet browser, but I believe it'll be a little easier if you have two computers to run all the WebEOC stuff through and then the actual exercise in a separate computer. You will need a printer for your computer. There will be some documents that you're going to be keyed up to print out. Do need to have access to a fax machine, whether it's in the room that you'll be conducting the exercise or close at hand. The MERC will be faxing information and you may be asked to fax information back to the MERC. You do need to have Internet Explorer 7.0 or greater, or Firefox 3.0 or greater, and those are about versions that are about 2 years old, so it shouldn't be a problem. And of course, most important of all, have on hand any plans, procedures dealing with 96-hour sustainability as well as communicating with the MERC. During the exercise, there will be several videos embedded in the exercise. These videos are hosted on YouTube. So we ask that you interface with your IT department as soon as possible to determine if there will be any problems at your hospital, at your location, accessing and viewing YouTube videos. If there are, please contact us at info@drc.com drc-group.com. Once again, info@drc-group.com. Let us know. We will be happy to work with your IT department to provide them with URLs for those videos so they can whitelist them on the day of the exercise. The reason we embed videos in the exercise as well as images and maps and all kinds of other information is to make it as realistic as we possibly can. Now, on the day of the exercise, pretty straightforward. You will go to onyxsystem.com, and in the lower right hand corner, as demonstrated on the screen capture, you will use your username and password to log into the Onyx system. Remember, only one person on your team will need to use their username and password on one computer to log into the exercise. You will be playing the entire exercise out on one computer. Once you've logged in, you will access a screen that looks somewhat similar to this. The exercise Operation Trick or Sleet will appear under the little header, Your Exercises, in the upper left hand corner. And from there, all you'll do is click on the listed exercise under Your Exercises, and it brings you to a screen that looks somewhat similar to this. There will be a forward arrow. Once you click on that forward arrow, it will begin to move you into the exercise. You'll notice in the upper right hand corner there's a timer, and this exercise is set to run for 6.5 hours. However, it should only take you about 2.5 to 3 hours to play through the exercise. Remembering, this is a free play exercise you're going to be playing through at your own pace. There will be some hospitals that play through it in under 2.5 hours, and there may be some that take more than 3 hours, simply based on how much discussion, how in depth they get in the actual exercise play. So there will be a constant overall time remaining in the exercise timer in the upper right hand corner. So once you're ready to begin the exercise, you've logged in, everybody's gotten their cup of coffee, had your introductions, you're ready to go, you'll simply click on the forward arrow and begin to move into the exercise. That first screen you will see is an exercise briefing. We always like to start all exercises out with a short briefing, giving you those basics. Stay focused on the common operating picture, the information that's in front of you. Don't start guessing as to what might happen. Stay focused. Also, you'll be notified in terms of the total number of injects and scenario pages or screens that you will be playing through. And this exercise will have a 15-minute break about halfway through the exercise, and you'll have the option to either play through that 15-minute break or actually take the 15-minute break. So this briefing gives you a bunch of basic information on what to expect in the exercise. Now, you'll also notice there's a second timer in the upper right hand corner. Every screen that you access during the exercise will have a timer specific to that screen. The minimum amount of time will be 10 minutes. However, some of them might be as much as 30 minutes, all depending on the amount of activities that you have to undertake based on what's being presented. You're going to be, at one point in this exercise, I'm sure, having to prepare an incident action plan based on current operating picture of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And that's going to take a little time because you're going to be sitting there keying that information into the system. And speaking of keying information into the system, we've moved forward to an inject page. The whole system is based around a series of either scenarios, painting the picture of what's going on, and on a scenario page there will always be a forward arrow in the upper right hand corner, or inject pages, and that's what we are currently looking at. An inject page will not have a forward arrow in the upper right hand corner. You have to review the material that's presented, and you will need to type in responses, based on what your actions would be based on the information presented, and you click the submit button down in the lower left hand corner one time. That saves everything that you have typed in to date, and that will move you forward in the exercise. Also, throughout the exercise, there will be a number of embedded links, and that's what this Tornado Protective Action Sheet is. You can click on those links, and what will occur is, in a separate tab in your internet browser, information, Could be straightforward like we have here with tornado protective actions. Could be links out to other internet websites providing additional information. And it could be what I call little cheat sheets, giving you some advice as to how maybe you want to best respond to this particular inject. So feel free, you can click on those injects links as you're playing through the exercise for additional information. Sometimes the links are pretty elementary. As you see here, you can have clicked on tornado warning, and it will tell you basically what a tornado warning is. This particular exercise that the screen capture is from was a pretty basic, straightforward exercise. So we've completed typing in our protective action number 1, 2, and 3 based on what was presented. We've clicked submit, and it continues to move us through the exercise. As we've moved forward, we're looking at a much more in-depth inject. This one essentially dealing with, you stood up your hospital incident command system, your teams together. Okay, identify who's going to be the incident commander. What's that individual's responsibility during this particular event? So you may have an inject somewhat similar to this, and if you notice up in the right hand corner, the team had 25 minutes to flesh out their command structure, identify who's in charge of each of the functions or sections, as well as to key in what that person would be doing during this particular event. Once you've done that, once again, lower left hand corner, you'll click on the submit button once, and it will continue to move you through the exercise. All along, saving all of that information that you're keying into the system, because all of that will be exported after the exercise as part of your inject response report, and we'll get to the reports in just a moment. As you're moving through the exercise, it's going to be important for you to always keep an eye on that page counter. We will give you plenty enough time to work through either the scenarios, review the material, view the videos, whatever, as well as discuss the various injects and key in the appropriate responses. But to keep you kind of nudging forward, if that timer runs out on a page, an icon will appear in the middle of the page, just like we're looking at right now, and you'll have to click on the OK, and what will happen is everything that you have typed in to that point will be saved, but then it will automatically move you to the next scenario or inject. Now you can always click on the back button, the back arrow, move backward in the exercise, finish keying in your response, or you can even move backwards and change your response if you would like. But if the timer runs out on a page, it will automatically bump you forward, having saved everything that was typed into that point. This kind of keeps the exercise moving along because, as I've said several times, it is a self-paced exercise. When you arrive at the end of the exercise, before we move on to the hot wash component, there'll be a little notice, as you see down the yellow box, that basically directs all the other team members who participated after lunch or later in the day, or in this case after 5 p.m., to log into the Onyx system with their username and password and complete their individual hot wash. We're going to move on in just a moment to complete the group hot wash. Also, after the exercise is over, everyone will receive an email saying exercise is over, end exercise. Please use your username and password, log in. You're not going to play through the exercise, you go directly to the hot wash page. And with the hot wash page, it's that traditional 3 things that went well, 3 areas that we can improve upon. So on the exercise day, you're going to complete a group hot wash. You're going to have the discussion, okay guys, what worked well, and oh, by the way, what can we improve upon to make our response much more successful in the future. So you'll have that discussion, you'll have the opportunity to work through a hot wash as a group, and also after the exercise, complete individual hot washes, and that's the way you'll receive your certificate. And the reason we want everyone to complete their individual hot wash after the exercise is that hot wash information is what becomes part of your hospital's after action report. And we have found by allowing individuals to do their individual hot wash after the exercise via a computer, they have the tendency to really kind of drill down with some things that worked really well and some areas that may need to be improved upon. Well, I want to spend a couple of minutes on the evaluation process. All the hospitals have been requested to identify evaluator. On the day of the exercise, that evaluator will have the traditional printed copy of an exercise evaluation guide like we have here. And he or she, during the exercise, will essentially observe what is going on, capture their observations and recommendations for each of the activities and tasks that are in that exercise evaluation guide. We're all pretty familiar with what an EEG, exercise evaluation guide, is. Now, with the Onyx system, we've added a performance rating for each of the tasks. And when we get to the after action report in just a minute, you'll see the benefit of that performance rating because it helps color code that after action report. So during the exercise, evaluator will have their printed copy of the EEG. They'll be capturing everything on paper, their observations, recommendations, and then following the exercise, they will log in to the Onyx system with their username and password. They will not play through the exercise. They will access an electronic version of the exercise evaluation guide and submit all of their observations and recommendations into the Onyx system, as well as indicate the performance score for each of the tasks and activities. As we continue to move forward, we come to the after action report. The Onyx system is a HC compliant system, and as I have demonstrated throughout our presentation, your team, your evaluators are going to be pushing lots of data into the system that will be utilized after the exercise to export your draft after action report. And that's what we're looking at right now. Once everyone has submitted their hot wash, your evaluator has keyed in their observations, recommendations for each of the tasks and activities. We simply will click a button and out will pop your draft after action report with all of that information. We will do a little wordsmithing on that after action report prior to sending it to you. So this is why it's very important for everyone to register, give their hot wash, because that is the text, the content for your individual after action report. The other document you will receive after the exercise is an inject response report for your hospital for all of the responses to all of the injects as you played through the exercise. This is a really good document. It can be used to go back and review plans, take some of the language out of that inject response report, update a plan, revise a plan, or maybe even add a component to the plan that was identified during the exercise that was overlooked during the planning process. So usually that takes about 2 or 3 days. We proofread it and then we'll forward it out to you as a PDF document. Well, with that, we've come to the end of our exercise briefing. It's important to remember to have a productive, positive time as you play through the exercise. And there's one last thing I would like to mention. Every other Friday, we do a demonstration exercise in the Onyx system where you're an actual player. You call into a conference call line. We launch a very simple exercise. You can play through it. To register for that demonstration exercise, simply go to onyxsystem.com and register. You'll receive additional information on that demonstration exercise as the date draws closer. With that, thank you for your time and have a good experience during the Operation Trick or Sleet exercise.